Well, good afternoon and welcome to this nice and cool and rainy Thursday. As a church in downtown Wichita, we are not like many of the other churches which are located in residential areas. We don't have the neighborhood community that some of the other congregations have. We're in the middle of Wichita, just a couple of blocks from the exact center of the city. Yes, there have been a few apartments built in the area, but by and large, those apartments dwellers don't consider themselves to be our neighbors. Younger people, mostly, they tend to stay to themselves. When it comes to being neighborly with a church, they just don't. And I get that. Church nowadays, it seems, has very little relevance to the younger crowd. Establishing careers, working on couples relationships, navigating COVID, inflation, and the other ills of society. And living in an urban building with 200 other people can make a person see things in ways that some of us have difficulty understanding. We do have a community of neighbors, however. By far, most of them are either homeless or near homeless. Some live under the First Street Bridge just a few feet from our property. Others camp out in the nearby parks or they find shelter in neighboring alleys. Many have mental health issues. Many are addicts of some kind. Some have difficulty getting around due to injury or some kind of a handicap. Others are distrustful of anyone else, having been robbed, beaten, or sexually assaulted in the past. Some, due to their mental health situation, are not welcome in shelters or food pantries or other inside places. Many don't have a legal form of identification. Either what they had has been stolen or they just never had one. They don't have the money needed to gather the forms that they need to go to the DMV to get their ID. And without an ID, it's nearly impossible to access needed services, medication, or other means of help, let alone apply for a job. We've struggled over the years as a church to serve the community that surrounds us. How do we best serve those without a home, without enabling the kind of behavior that keeps them on the streets and away from the services that are available to them? Well, we've tried several ways of serving the population over the years, and while a few have made substantial progress in life and living, by far most continue to walk the streets looking for the next meal, the next fix, or the next shelter. We've partnered with nonprofits that serve the homeless. We're on a first-name basis with the members of the Wichita Police Department's homeless outreach team. Some of our church members volunteer for nonprofit organizations that serve the homeless in some way. As a smaller church, we don't have the financial means to operate our own shelter, our own medical services, or other similar kinds of programs. But yet, we desire to serve in some tangible, face-to-face way that will demonstrate the love of Jesus Christ to these who find themselves in a situation that many times feels like being chained with no way of escape. Government has not found the magic solution to homelessness. Nonprofits haven't either. Churches and religious institutions struggle just as we do to serve in some meaningful way. So, where do we go from here? We've just recently pulled back from one form of service that we have been doing that ended up being more enabling than anything else. And we're groping for yet another way to serve, one that will in some small way help rather than enable and hinder. Jesus said that we will always have the poor with us. But he didn't say that because of that truth, we can just ignore them and go our merry way. In fact, quite the opposite. As God's people, we are to serve the poor, feed the hungry, clothe those without garments to wear. So what does that look like in 2022 in downtown Wichita? Well, we still don't know with certainty. What we do know is that we are called to serve, called to disciple, called to help right the wrongs that are endemic in the world that we live in. We will continue to pray, we will continue to consider, and we'll move in ways that we believe Jesus would have us go. Pray with us. Find ways to serve. Be salt and light in a dark and a troubled world. You may not have the homeless in your neighborhood, and you may not have the magic answer, but there is someone within your circle of influence that you can serve in some way. Find that person. Find that situation. Open your heart. Blessings.